U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is set to meet with Egyptian President Abdel-Fattah el-Sisi in Cairo. The two sides are likely to prioritize security concerns, particularly about the spread of ISIL in North Africa. Our Washington Correspondent Daniel Ryntjes has more.
America's top diplomat has lined up a tricky set of meetings this week. On Tuesday, he met with Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Zarif to discuss the implementation of the nuclear deal. His trip across the Atlantic begins with Cairo, where he'll be face-to-face with President Abdel-Fattah el-Sisi and Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry. The US has not indicated which of the many thorny issues they'll be prioritising. The US in recent years has been unwilling to confront the Egyptians on human rights issues, including the jailing of political opponents and journalists, in favour of a more pragmatic stance of support for military and security engagement. They're therefore likely to discuss in more detail the threats of ISIL militancy in the Sinai Peninsula and neighbouring Libya. Kerry will then head to the Saudi capital Riyadh, joining President Obama for a meeting with members of the Gulf Cooperation Council at a time when those nations are deeply concerned about a shift in the balance of power following the signing of the Iran nuclear deal.
Well, let's now cross over to Cairo and get more from Adel Mahroui. He joins us live from there. Adel, what is likely to dominate the U.S. Secretary of State's visit to Egypt? What's likely to dominate his agenda?
Well, basically, we're talking about Libya and ISIL's presence, the expansion of militant groups inside the Libyan territory, supporting the unity government of Fayez al-Sarraj. These will be mainly the most important topics that will be discussed. But as we've just heard, there is sort of a confinement on the details of this visit and the topics that will be discussed exactly. In a statement from the Foreign Ministry here, it said that they will be discussing bilateral relations and pressing issues in the Middle East, the Palestinian crisis, Syria, Yemen, and Libya as well. So there isn't still a clear line, or at least an official announced line about what they will be discussing. But analysts here speculate that, as I said, Libya and ISIL's presence in Libya will be the top priority, along with the unity government support. And on the other hand, some speculate that the recent water borders restructuring between Egypt and Kingdom of Saudi Arabia might be an issue, particularly that the two islands that have a that Egypt transferred their authority back to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, according to Egyptian statements. They represent a passage or another sort of a strategic change in that area, particularly as they are the main entrance to the Aqaba Gulf, which shares the water borders for Egypt, Israel, Jordan, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Now, Egypt has been the recipient of one of the largest assistance by the US. Has this position changed over the years?
Well, it has been quite a position that the United States has been swaying on and off about, particularly after the 2013 military ouster of former President Mohamed Morsi. But it seems that lately that has not been an issue. There was a recent visit by a Senate or representatives from the US Senate to Egypt. They met President el-Sisi. Senator Lindsey Graham said that they, as a Republican party, will not only be working to guarantee that Egypt gets its usual annual military aid, but also they will be discussing a possibility of increasing this budget. So the turbulences that has happened in the past 2 years, it seems that both sides have realized it's not in their benefits, and there are movements from at least the US political scene to change that, to guarantee that the US aid, the military aid in particular, would grow and continue.
Well, is Kerry's visit to Adel meant to counter the growing influence of other international powers in Egypt's diplomatic circles?
Well, definitely. Egypt has been taking a huge step back from its what has been described as a strong relations with the United States under former President Hosni Mubarak, and led by quite an understanding relations during Mohammed Morsi. But for President el-Sisi's leadership, both countries have not been as close as they used to be. President el-Sisi, throughout his over 2 years, nearly 2 years in power, he has not visited the United States in an official visit. He only went for the UN's General Assembly. On the other hand, we find that President Barack Obama today should be coming to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, very close to Egypt, and that's maybe one of the main reasons John Kerry will be coming to Cairo and then follow Obama in Riyadh. But Obama too is not coming to Egypt, which reflects sort of a tension that still remains. Egypt has been strengthening its ties with the Gulf, with Russia, with China, of course, and some European allies, particularly France, and that worries the United States that a country with such a strategic advantage, at least geographically, and a key player in both Libya and the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, is not as close as it used to be. So they are trying to mend this, and there has been some sort of movements lately that indicates both countries are willing to take or to resume these close relations, but there are some conditions, it seems, from both sides that they want to clarify first before resuming it to complete normality.
All right, Adil Mahri live for us there in Cairo. Thanks, Adil.